Is it allowed to go to the cemetery to remind ourselves that we will die? It is not only allowed, it is highly recommended. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in the hadith, which permitted and recommended frequently visiting the graveyard, ألا إني كنت نهيتكم عن زيارة القبور ألا فزوروها فإنها تذكركم الموت. Indeed, I have forbidden you from visiting the graveyard. Now I'm ordering you to resume visiting the graveyard. Why? What is the effective cause? Why was it forbidden initially? Then now it has become recommended. As far as the recommendation is said, because it shall remind you of death. We just returned from burying one of our staff, somebody who used to work with us for years. Allah tested him with a brain cancer for a couple years. Then finally, alhamdulillah, may Allah have mercy on him, he died while in a state of belief, and he was very happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today, while standing at the graveyard and just contemplating the idea of death, I said I should bring my children more often to the graveyard, and we sit there and I tell them that your daddy will be in this grave anytime soon. Just remember to come and make dua for him and seek forgiveness for him, and remind them and remind myself how short and brief is this life. It is not really worth fighting for it. It is not really worth dying for the dunya, rather dying for the bigger cause, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So frequently visiting the graveyard, and similarly frequently visiting the sick people and people who are experiencing death on their deathbeds, would bring to the hearts and minds of those who still have a living heart and a reflecting mind that this life is not worth it. It is not worth it to steal. It is not worth it to take bribery. It is not worth it for a woman to show her beauty and her hair and wear a v-neck and tie blouse and tie jeans just to make everybody flatter and say, wow, wow. Well, remember Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, may Allah be pleased with him, one of the poets entered upon him to admire him so that he can get some cash, some gold, for admiring him as he used to do with the rulers before him. He started talking about his face, his eyes, how beautiful his eyes. He said, I wish you can see my eyes a few days after my burial. You would not stand the scene when the worms and the insects will be eating my eyes, and when I smell oh my God. Think about this scene. There is only one thing which will benefit you: your good deeds, your istighfar, your dhikr and your dua. Well, if this is the case, then it's not worth it. And what will make you frequently remember this? Death. You know what? When you buy a flat, you don't just settle for that. You're always thinking, you have the thought of, maybe I can sell this flat and I move to a bigger one. When you buy a car, you just have it for a couple years. Now you need to change to a newer model, and so on and so forth. No one is ever content 100%, says, this is it. Life is very short and brief. Let me spend the rest of my life focus on my ibadah and pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The human nature is not like that. Always wants more. That's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, ليس الغنى عن كثرة العرض ولكن الغنى غنى النفس. Richness is not the richness of wealth and possessions, because it doesn't matter how much you own, how much you possess, you still want more. That's a human nature. But the true richness is the richness of the heart, when you feel content, when you feel, alhamdulillah, I already have, I have plenty, more than what I'm going to use, And when I look around, subhanallah, after the Arab Spring, for these rulers who rule the Muslim countries and read their countries off, and I hear about this president having his account $70 billion US dollars, and another one they take hundreds of millions from the wall of his palace. He was hiding money in the building, in the wall between the sheetrocks, and another person was hiding gold in the desert. And I say to myself, subhanallah, What are you going to do with all this money? If you eat every day caviar, if you eat the most delicious food, if you tour the whole world, if you just throw money from the plane, you're not going to be able to spend all this money. So why do you still steal? Why do you still want more? Why are you not being content? Why? Because this is a human nature. You want always more. You do not look at what you have. Rather, you look at what you want, what others have. That's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, don't you ever compare yourself to one who is much more fortunate than you as far as wealth and dunya. Rather, look at those who are misfortunate, less fortunate than you. You have a flat and you're dying to buy a building, not a flat. Look at the gatekeeper. Visit him in his little tiny room. Look at the driver. Look at people who are serving you, what kind of life they're living. It is not to slow down to the point that you don't want to do anything, you don't want to earn, you don't want to have a nice flat, but to slow down and keep balance. Some people work to earn lawfully or unlawfully forever until they drop dead. They did not spend a few hours with their children, whom they love so much. Yani when you ask anyone, why are you doing all of that? For my children. Who are your children? In which grade? What do you know about them? I've seen this a lot. So one day I will enjoy sitting with them. When? When they grow up and I meet some of them, they do not develop any feeling for their parents, particularly the father. Now, my father was earning haram. Yes, he provided them with plenty of money. This person says, I swear, I have in the account of my son and in my daughter and in this and that much money. And they do not appreciate any of that. They do not. So I spoke to one of them and I said, so if you do not like your dad, if you do not like your mom, why are you living with them? He said, I'm enjoying the free ride. Something is missing here. Why do we do all of that? Why do we plan and work like we're living forever? The proper way is frequently visit the graveyard. Think about it. I'm not going to earn a penny from haram. I will never, ever hurt any person or take his or her right. Why? Because soon as I will die, I'm not going to take anything with me. So number one, you make sure that your earning is halal. Number two, you make sure that you invest properly in your children, teaching them the proper deen so that they can benefit you after your death. Number three, you're always on a standby. On a standby, yani, you're ready to go. You have your wasiyah written, you paid your debt, you train your children what to do after your death, you taught them how to pray, so that when they pray, offer them namaz, they pray for you. You taught them how to read the Quran, you taught them the proper deen. You left your wife in a good condition, not disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can you imagine some men insist that their wives should wear a full makeup upon going out because he wants to show off before people? She's my wife. Look at my honey. Are you a man? Do you ever think that soon you will die and you will be asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about your ra'iyah, those who are under your guardianship? Visiting the graveyard, brothers and sisters, would definitely bring to your attention the thought all the time. And you will realize that I need to do what would please Allah, not necessarily please me or anyone else. I need to do it properly. I need to do it legally according to Sharia.